have breaking news in the Derek Chauvin trial.
Minutes ago, the former Minneapolis police officer invoked his Fifth Amendment right and said he will not testify.
Have you made a decision today whether you intend to testify or whether you intend to invoke your Fifth Amendment privilege?
I will invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege today.
We are joined now by criminal defense attorney and legal analyst Joe Tamburino. Joe, the judge went on to ask Derek Chauvin several questions. Is this your choice? This is a choice that you have to make yourself. And he said, yes, it is.
Good morning. That's absolutely true. A judge needs to do two things, which the judge did in this case. Number one, to make sure that the defendant for himself makes the decision as to whether or not to testify. And obviously, Mr. Chauvin said he's not going to testify. And second, the judge must ask the defendant if he wishes to have a specific instruction that tells the jury, look, a defendant doesn't have to testify and you can't draw negative inferences from that. And of course, he said, yes, please use that instruction.
What is the significance of this decision that Derek Chauvin has made?
Well, he's not going to be able to tie up the loose ends in his case. That's the problem with not testifying. Of course, everyone has a right not to testify, and that's a decision that you have to make with your attorney. But when you do testify, you get the opportunity to just tie up loose ends. Of course, there's the flip side to that coin, which means you could be cross-examined.
Joe, when do you think this decision was made?
I think it was made days ago because, as the judge even stated and the parties have stated, there's been a lot of chambers discussions, a lot of information that was not in the public courtroom. And when the judge the other day said, looks like we're going to be done by Thursday afternoon so you all can have off on Friday, well, that was a clear signal that they've been talking that the defendant will not testify.
What impact can the defendant's decision not to testify have on the jury in a case like this?
Well, that's why there's that instruction, because many times we're all human beings. The jury will say, look, I want to hear from everybody, including the defendant. However, our law is very clear. Everyone has the right not to testify. And furthermore, you cannot draw negative inferences from not testifying, which means that the jury is legally not allowed to say, well, since he didn't testify, he must be guilty. They're not allowed to think that. And there are specific instructions that tell them that. So if the jury follows the law, they won't draw negative inferences.
Joe, we just mentioned Derek Chauvin himself said that he was the one that made the decision not to testify. But in your experience, who is making that decision? Is it ultimately the lawyer who says, look, I just don't think this is a good idea, or is it the defendant?
In the end, it has to be the defendant, but I can tell you that there probably has been hours and hours of discussions with his attorney as to whether or not he should testify. Because when it comes down to it, there's only two things. Number one, is his testimony going to hurt rather than help his case? And number two, is he somebody that really could do a good job on the stand? Because some people cannot talk in front of others, don't come across well. So those two things have to go through with your attorney time and time again, and then you arrive at the decision.
Criminal defense attorney Joe Tamburino breaking down the details happening inside the courtroom. Again, he is not affiliated with this case. Thank you so much for joining us, Joe.